It's just saying setting up to. I think with this, I can't tell when it's live and when it's not. It still says setting up. Okay, setting up to got it. I think with this, I can't tell when it's live and when it's not. It still says setting up. Okay.
Doesn't it
Setting
usually
up to got it.
doesn't it usually say you are live or something like that on the, it gives you a little,
This I can't tell when it's live and when it's on not. There.
oh,
It still says setting up. Okay, get rid of this.
doesn't it usually
Got it.
doesn't it usually say you are live or something like that on the, it gives you a little,
This I can't tell when it's live and when it's on not. There.
oh,
It still
it's
says
a
setting up.
delayed, it's a delayed
This.
audio.
Got it. Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, let me go ahead and let the audience members in. Let's see. All right. Okay. I think we all got it now. I think we're pretty good here. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for today's A Month of Service presentation of what is a pro bono attorney. My name is Nia Murray. I am the programs coordinator with Neighborhood Recovery Community Development Corporation, and we are one of the partners in the A Month of Service collaboration. Also included is the City of Houston's Department of Neighborhoods, and joining us today, we have Ms. Rachel Gutierrez. Also, on behalf of our presenting partner with the Houston Bar Association, we have Mr. Michael Harrison with Shook, Hardy and Bacon LLP, who's going to be presenting the information for you today on pro bono attorneys. And also included in the partnership, we have Lone Star Legal Aid, the Earl Carl Institute, the Texas Legal Services Center, Houston Volunteer Lawyers, the Harris Central Appraisal District, and the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector's Office. And together we all make up a month of service. And basically what a month of service is, it's the collaboration of all 9 of our organizations. We come together on a monthly basis and offer a variety of different workshops, resources, and information to the community relative to community empowerment, asset building, asset protection, and the maintaining of generational wealth. We know that there are a lot of underserved communities that are out there that do not have access to a lot of information, that do not know where to go for certain resources, for certain assistance that's available to them potentially for free or at very low cost. And we want to do our part in trying to get as much information out there to the community as we possibly can. We started this collaboration several years ago where we used to be in person in various communities around the city of Houston. But of course, due to COVID, we had to transition to the virtual platform. But this platform in itself has definitely allowed us to reach even more people in surrounding counties throughout the entire state of Texas, even, and also even in some other states where people have been able to join in and watch our presentations virtually. So if there are any current presentations that you guys may be interested in or information that is needed from the community, please feel free to reach out to Rachel or myself, and we'll do our best to get the information presented on one of our schedules for you. Sorry. Sorry. But the information that we do present, again, is relative to asset building, asset protection, and the maintaining of generational wealth. And that includes wills, estate planning, clearing title, property tax issues, a series of different legal issues that people may have or need assistance with, like pro bono attorneys. Next week, we'll have information about pro se attorneys, or pro se litigation, which means basically representing yourself. What's that process? What do you do? How do you go about that? Where do you go for different forms, different resources? So definitely tune in to us next week for that. But today, we hope that you guys get all the information that you need about pro bono attorneys and services that are available to you guys. Feel free to type your question into the chat where we can answer your question live, or if you'd like, feel better, unmute yourself and you can ask the question of the presenter directly. Do keep in mind that we do record this session as well as broadcast live on our social media platforms on YouTube and on Facebook. So we just want you to keep in mind as you're asking your questions that you try to keep them to be as general as you possibly can, to not divulge any personal detailed information and getting out there for everybody all over the World Wide Web to get access to. So do keep that in mind. We want to try to protect your privacy as much as we possibly can. In addition to that, just know that the information that is presented here today is for informational purposes only, is not to be considered legal advice. But we do want you to feel free to reach out if you find yourselves in need of any civil legal assistance from any of our legal service partners or from our presenter that we have here today. So we do encourage you to do that. With that being said, we are going to move right on into our introductions, and feel free to, again, engage as much as you possibly can. I'll be monitoring YouTube and Facebook. So if you do, or if you are joining us on those platforms, please feel free to type your question into the comment section there as well. So with that being said, Ms. Rachel, we'll have you introduce yourself and then we'll move right on into Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Nia. Good afternoon, everyone. As Nia mentioned, my name is Rachel Gutierrez. I am a Community Outreach Coordinator for the Department of Neighborhoods, Office of Neighborhood Engagement. As Nia mentioned also, thank you for joining in. We appreciate your participation in this amazing program that we have with our partners to provide you, the residents of Houston and surrounding counties, with information that may affect not just only you or those, but also those that are in your close circle or in your community, at your church, at your grocery store, your community centers, your gym. You may know somebody that this information will be beneficial of. So your continued support in tuning in and then relaying that information to those around you is crucial to us to be able to continue this work. So we appreciate those that have been our lifetimers, but we encourage you to continue spreading the word so that your loved ones and your family and friends can also tune in. It's available online for convenience. And then now we're excited to share that we are starting to go into the communities to host these once a month. So we'll be coming to a district near you, to an area near you. So stay tuned to that. That information will be posted on both all of our NRCDC's platform, City of Houston platform. So please stay connected with us. We surely appreciate it, and we appreciate our partners. Thank you, Michael, so much for being available today, volunteering your time. To the residents, please know that where can you go to get this information that's not going to charge you a fee for it, and very expensive fee at that. So this information is totally free. It's to empower you and educate you. So we appreciate that and hope to see you continuously in the month of August and beyond. So thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Michael Harrison, again, welcome and thank you very much. If you'd like to go ahead and give an introduction for yourself and the law firm that you work with and the work that you all do, and then go right on into your presentation.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Nia. Thank you, Rachel, for having me. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be here because I'm always excited to share information and resources with the community. So my name is Michael Harrison. I am Senior Counsel at Shook, Hardy & Bacon. I am also the practice leader of our Civil Rights and Racial Justice Pro Bono practice. So our firm, Shook, handles mostly corporate civil clients, but we have a thriving pro bono practice across our firm's 17 United States offices. So we handle in our larger pro bono practice everything from family matters to housing matters, to immigration law, but we have a dedicated practice to civil rights law, and that's the area that I handle. So just to tell you a little bit about my background and my work is we work with people who cannot afford legal services, who have been deprived of a constitutional right. So that is whether they've been discriminated against by the government, whether they have been falsely arrested, whether they are imprisoned and being mistreated while imprisoned. We handle all those types of matters. We handle everything from criminal justice issues such as needing to have your record expunged or non-disclosures, all the way up to right now we're doing a large-scale investigation of a prison in the South, where we'll have about 75 plaintiffs who have been mistreated while imprisoned. And we do everything in between, excessive force cases, anything dealing with the deprivation of constitutional rights. I lead that practice. I have a background in civil rights law. I was a civil rights prosecutor for 8 years in Harris County, where I handled excessive force cases and public corruption cases. I'm also an adjunct professor of law at Thurgood Marshall School of Law, where I teach a civil rights legislation and enforcement course. So that's a little bit about me. But today I want to share with you guys just about some opportunities that are available in Houston and the surrounding areas. If you are in need of legal help that will not charge you, because like Nia said, it is very expensive. So I'm going to share my screen. So I've got a little presentation here that I'm going to go through. All right, can everybody see that? All right, so today I'm talking to you guys about what is a pro bono attorney. And really what it's my goal to do today is to just go give you as much education as I can about some resources that are out there, in addition to just learning about what a pro bono attorney does, also learning about some different areas that pro bono attorneys tend to specialize in more often than not. Also, some resources that are here locally in the Houston and the greater Houston area that may be able to support you. Then I also want to tell you just about some things that I've learned through pro bono practice that I think are useful if you are ever in a situation where you have a pro bono attorney to know how to navigate that relationship. So like I mentioned before, I lead our civil rights and racial justice practice, which means I work with mostly clients who are not paying for service. So what is a pro bono attorney? The first thing that we need to know is that, let me go through my overview. I'm going to talk about what a pro bono attorney is. I'll talk about the types of cases that pro bono attorneys generally handle. From there, I will go into what the qualifications are in order to obtain a pro bono attorney. And I'm going to mention here that those qualifications can change depending on the organization or the program or the attorney that you're working with. But I'm going to give you just an idea of what some general criteria are in order to qualify for a pro bono attorney. Then I'll talk a little bit about where you can find a pro bono attorney. I'll give you a few examples. Some of them are the partner organizations here. Others are groups that I've worked with personally that handle different matters. And there's some other resources that I can share with you later that give just a wider breadth of the different organizations and the different programs available depending on your particular legal need. Then last, I'll talk about what will a pro bono attorney expect from you. So when you enter in that relationship with a pro bono attorney, can you expect to see from that pro bono attorney, and what should that pro bono attorney expect to see from you in terms of the relationship? So that's what I'm going to go through today. After that, there will be some time for some Q&A, and I encourage you to ask questions. Just like Nia said, make sure that they are more general questions about the process, not necessarily your specific case. We don't want to disclose any confidential information here online. And then also, in order to make sure that you're getting the best legal representation possible, it's best to ask those questions to an attorney who you're talking to one-on-one. So let's get started with what is a pro bono attorney. So a pro bono attorney, it's also called a volunteer lawyer, is someone who either takes a full case. So let's use I'll use one of my cases, for example. If there is a civil rights case in which you feel your constitutional rights were deprived, I might take on your full, complete matter, which means I'm your attorney throughout the whole process. But a pro bono or volunteer attorney can also take on a part of your case. So for example, there are many clients who come to us who want to represent themselves, but there are certain things that they don't necessarily have the expertise in dealing with. So we may help with certain aspects of their representation, for example, maybe a deposition or something like that. Maybe it's to get a particular document prepared. But a pro bono attorney can either work on all of your case, a portion of your case, or in some situations, just provide you with legal advice in order to help you along your path. And all this is done at either no cost or little cost to the client. So I make sure that I preface it with saying no cost or little cost, because there are pro bono attorneys who just offer a very, very decreased cost. So there may be a little cost associated with it, but it's not going to be the full cost. But it really depends on the program or the organization that you're working with. A couple of the key features to mention when we're talking about pro bono attorneys is that the attorney is not in a situation that we're not like for my firm, we don't take any fee from you. So that includes not taking a fee from your if you are successful except in very certain situations in civil rights cases, but that also includes not taking fees from other places. So, for example, there may be situations in which if we're talking about a legal aid organization, for example, legal aid organizations have donors, so they not necessarily be thought of as pro bono attorneys because they're still getting some sort of amount of money. But pro bono attorneys generally, and I say generally because I don't want to be all inclusive because there are some exceptions, don't take a fee. And they definitely don't take a fee from you, the client. The purpose, you might ask, well, this sounds a little bit too good to be true. Why would you have legal services and not offer anything? Well, at the end of the day, lawyers are charged with being so it's an active service. It's a profession of people who are supposed to serve. Now, I know in our society, you might laugh when I say that it's a lawyer's job to serve their community, but that's a part of our obligation to the bar. That's a part of our obligation to the community is to serve, and that doesn't only include attorneys that work for legal aid organizations. That includes attorneys who work for the biggest corporations down to the smallest legal aid organization. When we take our pledge to be attorneys, we're doing so knowing that part of that job is to give and serve the community. So the purpose of a pro bono attorney is to serve individuals and the legal needs of the community. And I think it's also important to say that as lawyers, we are also judged on how much and how well we do that. So I'll talk a little bit about it next, about some of the different sources or opportunities that pro bono lawyers have to serve. But we're a law firm, we're ranked on how well we serve the community. If we are individual attorneys who have to keep our bar certification up, we are also judged, and part of what we can submit is how many pro bono hours that we've worked during the year. So all this is important to the profession as well as to the community at large. So how do pro bono attorneys volunteer? So there are thousands of attorneys across the Houston area, and there are many different ways that we give our time and give our services to clients. One of the ways is legal clinics. There are many organizations who hold clinics, and I'm sure you've seen advertisements for maybe it's a record expungement clinic, for example. And there may be one organization or a group of organizations that come together and the public comes. Usually there may be lunch or something like that, but there's opportunity to talk to lawyers to figure out whether you qualify and then to go through the intake process and getting an expunction. So that is an example of a legal clinic. So what lawyers do who are interested in volunteering is we will see one of those opportunities and we will sign up to help with the legal clinic. Well, usually if it's not an area of law that we practice, we get training on how to handle that particular area of law, and then we go out to the clinic, and as the community comes in, we help them through their legal needs. So legal clinics are one way that pro bono attorneys volunteer. Another is law firm pro bono programs. So that is what I am a part of. I lead the civil rights pro bono program for Shook, Hardy, and Bacon. Now, there are a lot of large law firms locally, but also across the country, and many of those firms have in-house pro bono programs, which means we have a pro bono partner who will be my boss, who determines what types of cases our firm is willing to take on pro bono. So just a little bit about my firm and how my position was even created. It was a lot of our attorneys had a natural interest in civil rights work. So when attorneys were looking for those opportunities to serve the community, they tended to navigate towards civil rights work. And as a result, we began to take on more and more and more civil rights work, even though we were a mostly business litigation firm. And as a result, now we've got a whole program that matches people in need, people with the Project Constitutional Right, with attorneys who have that interest. Right, so the attorneys are working on the case. They're earning pro bono hours. They're also giving back to the community, and our clients who could not afford it otherwise are getting really top-notch and quality representation at no cost to them. So law firm pro bono programs are huge in terms of the ways that lawyers give their time to pro bono. Another is pro bono volunteer boards. I'm a part of a lot of organizations that regularly post pro bono opportunities. So if it's an organization that's posting it, usually someone from the community or the public comes to the organization, has a need. The organization posts it and sends out emails to the different law firms or law organizations, and we look through them. And if it's something that interests us, or if we have the time, we will sign up to be that person's attorney. So volunteer boards are one way that we volunteer our time. And the last is personal initiative. So there may be, even if it's a solo practitioner, maybe it's someone who has their own law firm, someone walks in and is not able to afford, that attorney may decide to represent them pro bono. And so that's still pro bono service, even though it's not through an organization, even though it's not through some official program. But it's any time that an attorney volunteers on a case without taking a fee or with taking a substantially less fee than they would normally take. So that is what a pro bono attorney is at its base. So from there, let's talk a little bit about what types of cases do pro bono attorneys handle. I know there was some questions about whether in some of the questions we got beforehand about whether an attorney can handle X case or Z case, but in terms of what types of cases a pro bono attorney can handle, almost any type of case can be handled on a pro bono basis. However, I must mention that many of the organizations, many of the programs have policies that limit the types of cases that we take on a pro bono basis. And most of those those programs or policies are going to revolve around types of cases where there's the most need, right? So some of those areas are housing and eviction matters, family law matters, state planning, guardianship, civil rights matters, veterans assistance, immigration work, and there are many, many more that fall into this category. But it's important to note that if you are dealing with an issue, and I'll get into this a little bit later in the presentation, it's important to find an organization or find a program that handles that particular issue. Now, some may be harder than others, but there are pro bono programs out there. I can think of a few right now that handle work for small businesses that are needing some guidance in terms of setting up their organizational structure, right? So that's not something that we might not often think about as a area of law in which pro bono assistance is needed, but it is. If you think of some small business situations, and there are law firm programs out there that handle helping small businesses set up their organizational structure, of course, after they're vetted to make sure that they meet some minimum requirements. So in a nutshell, any type of case can be handled pro bono, but what we often see is that many of the programs that are available handle cases where there is a great need. So the next question, which I think probably everybody is asking, when you hear about all the opportunities out there to have an attorney for free, and you hear about some of the wide breadth of legal areas that are out there that pro bono attorneys handle, is, do I qualify for a pro bono attorney? My official question is, it depends. And it depends on a few things. It depends on the organization, and it also depends on some other things that I'll talk about here. So it will depend heavily on the policy of the organization or program that you contacted. Right, so there are some programs that are focused on low income. And I would say that the majority of pro bono programs out there and policies, even with our law firm pro bono program, focuses on people who could not otherwise afford the help. And these programs will usually have some sort of financial questionnaire to determine if you're eligible. And those eligibility requirements may be based on some of the government set thresholds in terms of what qualifies as low income, but some others may be a little bit more flexible depending on the organization or the program or the law firm that you reach out to. Some other programs, they are based not necessarily on financial need, while that may be a component, but they're mostly based on the particular person that needs help. So we see that a lot when we're looking at veterans programs. There are a lot of veterans assistance programs out there to help people who are trying to get their full benefits, or who have hit hard times, who cater specifically to veterans. So they don't necessarily, although they may look to some degree at your income, it's mostly based on your classification as a veteran. There are others that focus on domestic violence survivors, that focus on human trafficking survivors. It just depends on the organization that you're contacting and the need that you have. So if you think that you might qualify, it's really important to contact these organizations and try. I've known a lot of people who maybe contacted me and you could hear in their voice they did not think that they were going to qualify. I've had family friends who have reached out to different organizations who did not think that they were going to qualify, but I continue to urge them, if you think there's any possibility at all, even if you don't think there's a possibility that you may qualify, contact the organization and make sure, because you might be surprised that you may qualify for some of these services that are out there to obtain a pro bono attorney. So with that, as I'm talking about reaching out to the organizations, it leads me right into the next phase here. So where can I find a pro bono attorney? Houston is great in that it's large and it's a pretty helpful community. I think what you'll see is being a part of the Houston community. I think this program that we're part of today is a testament to that. There are not only people out there, but organizations that are willing to help. And for the most part, attorneys, even though we're extremely busy, when we take that oath, we take it seriously. So there are a lot of opportunities out there for pro bono assistance. It's just about taking the time to figure out which one fits your situation. I would encourage you to contact an organization or program that provides pro bono assistance in whatever area you need, even if it's just a simple Google search, right? So I might Google, if I was looking for a pro bono attorney, in times I've had to look for a pro bono attorney for maybe a friend or someone in my community. I've just Googled pro bono attorney for eviction, for example, pro bono attorney for fill in the blank, and there's in Houston, and there should be a lot of options that come out up. What I would also do is contact an organization like this one, because we have a lot of connections to point you in the right direction. But there are some programs that I want to highlight here. The Houston Volunteer Lawyers is a great one. It's one that I work with a lot to take on expungement cases, non-disclosure cases, restoration of civil rights cases. Lone Star Legal Aid, that's an organization that is also prevalent here. And I've sent a lot of people that I've known who have needed help with housing or an eviction there, and they've been able to assist. HBA Legal Line is a great one. Texas Civil Rights Project and the Veterans Consortium for Pro Bono program is one that our firm works with a lot. So we do a lot of work with veterans and getting them assistance, and this organization is one that we've done a lot of work with over the years. But I encourage you all to just start asking, right? Sometimes it's a matter of finding the first one you find and asking, and the person on the other line will put you in touch with with the organization that you need to be in touch with based on your particular need. Where can you find a pro bono attorney? The question is, these places also look to this organization that has sponsored us here today, but then also just good old Google is a good way to get started. And I'm sure some of the organizations that are listed here will help lead you in the right direction. I will also mention here, I think it's important to note, if you do have a issue in terms of a deprivation of a constitutional right, I'm going to have my contact information at the end of this presentation. You can always send me an email. We have, just like any other organization, have a criteria of what kinds of cases that we can take. We also have to look at the capacity of our lawyers. But at the end of the day, our firm and my program is dedicated to helping anybody who falls into that category. So I'll have my contact information here at the end. So if anything I said resonated about my practice, feel free to contact me, to ask me a question, or to tell me about your case. We can see if it may be a good fit, or we have the capacity to help. All right, and the last portion that I want to talk about here, and I'm going to spend about 10 to 15 minutes here before questions, is what will a pro bono attorney expect of me? And that kind of goes both ways. What can you expect of a pro bono attorney, and what should your pro bono attorney expect of you? So I'll answer the first question first, which is a pro bono attorney. We take an oath to the bar, right? So anytime we're doing legal work, we take an oath to do it to the best of our ability. So as a pro bono attorney, what our clients can expect of us is that we give them the same attention as any fee-paying client. One of the things that I train on very, very often at my firm is how to work with pro bono clients. And the first thing that I mention is respect. And in a few minutes, I'm going to show you some things that I expect of you, but the thing that you should expect of us is just the inverse of that. Even though we're not receiving a fee, what I train our attorneys to do is to treat you exactly the same. And given your situation, you may have been through a traumatic situation, for example, and which I come into contact with a lot in my practice. Sometimes we need to treat you a little bit better, right? So I do a lot of training to teach our attorneys that it should be a relationship of respect. Should be a relationship of making time for you as our client. It should be a relationship of building trust and communication, right? We shouldn't just go silent for months. We should let you know what's going on with the case, just the same way that we would do with a fee earning client. So what you should expect of a pro bono attorney is that they treat you like they would treat any other client, because that not only is that our job, but that's our oath as attorneys. Let me transition now into what we should expect of you. So I've worked with a lot of clients over the years who were representing pro bono. So I think it's a good opportunity just to talk to you guys about some things that I've encountered in some ways that would help that attorney-client relationship that you enter into with a pro bono attorney. And as I mentioned, this is when you're looking at what you should expect of your attorney. It's just the inverse of these same things. It's a two-way street. So respect, communication, preparation, and follow through. So respect, refrain from calling your attorney excessively. So what generally happens at the front end of one of these relationships is, if let's say you contacted a legal aid organization, let's say you contacted Houston Volunteer Lawyers for an expunction project, you will talk to them and they will put you in touch with an attorney. Once you're in touch with that attorney will then talk to you about the process and sort of let you know what they need from you. It's important that you respect the time of the attorney. I've had clients sometimes that have called 5 to 6 times a day, 6 days a week, and I say 6 including the weekend. But just in the same way that you would want your time respected, or respect that attorney's time. And I'll get through it a little bit when I go to preparation of some ways that you can make sure you're respecting the time of your attorney. But make sure that you're calling them within their work hours, that you're also you have all the information that you need from them compiled into one call when you do need to call them. Okay. Also, do not threaten or attempt to intimidate your attorney or their staff. And I know that for a lot of you, this goes without saying, but it's a stressful situation, right? You're probably, if you need a pro bono attorney, you're dealing with something that has been weighing on you for some time. You're dealing on something that's sensitive. You're dealing with something that may be time sensitive that you need help with right away. And it's understandable that your emotions may run high. You may get frustrated. Things may not be moving as fast as you hope that they would move. But it's very, very important to have respect. Again, it's a two-way street, but have respect towards your attorney. Yes, we've had attorneys who've not had a phone call back within our clients who have not received a phone call back in 10 minutes, and they've come up to the office and decide to sit in the waiting room until somebody sees them. That's not respect, right? So understand that your attorney, your pro bono attorney, also has other cases, pro bono and otherwise, that they're working on. So be sure that you respect them as you ask them to respect you. Communication. So this is very important in any relationship that you have with an attorney. But since we're talking about pro bono attorneys, it's important here as well. So anytime you have a change in either your address or your phone number or your contact information, make sure that you let that attorney know. I've often had times where I've gotten a call from the court needing something. I call the client and the number is either disconnected or it's somebody else's number. Just make sure that you find any way possible in order to get in touch with that attorney to communicate any changes and how to contact you. Also, let them know that if you're not able to meet to make a meeting, with pro bono attorneys, as we said, we're not collecting fees. And if I can tell you anything about the work of attorneys, time is very important. If you work in a law firm, you are constantly having to take account for your time. So that means if we block out a time to schedule a meeting and you say that you're going to be there, it really hurts us and could end up hurting the relationship if we have several times of you not showing up to that meeting. So make sure that if you're not able to show up to the meeting, that you communicate. Things come up, and we understand it. There will likely be times that we'll have to reschedule meetings as well. But as long as we're communicating and we're having a back and forth and we're practicing respect, it's going to be a great relationship. Preparation. So whether you're showing up to an initial meeting or you're on a Zoom call, or sometimes even if you're going to a clinic, make sure that you just gather any information that you think may be useful. It's very likely that you're going to be asked a lot of questions in those initial meetings by your attorney, and it's great to have all that information compiled so that you're prepared to talk to us, and we have exactly what we need in order to help you. So make sure that you bring all documents that are needed. Also take some time to think about all the questions that you might have. If it's even just 10 minutes, if you know you're meeting with your pro bono attorney, to write down all the questions that you might have, either about the specific case or just the process in general. Even if you have questions about what the attorney, what his preferences are in terms of contact and all those types of things, write them all out there beforehand so that you guys can have a fruitful conversation during that meeting. One of the most important parts of attorney-client relationship is the communication. So just make sure that you guys are doing it well. And usually if you're able to do that well at the front end, everything trickles down, and the whole relationship can be better for it. So preparation, and then last, follow through. Follow through just meaning do the things that you say you're going to do. It's often that an attorney may say, hey, I need XYZ document from you. Can you get to me by this date? Again, things come up, but just make sure that you're able to provide that things that you said you were going to be able to provide in the time that you said that you were going to provide it. But as I mentioned, with all these things, it's a two-way street. You should expect the same exact thing from your attorney. But just in my experience of working with attorneys, with clients as a pro bono attorney, these are some of the things: respect, communication, preparation, and follow through that I think are really important in order to establish that relationship. So I hope this was helpful. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up for questions for about the last 5 to 10 minutes here. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me. Like I said, I will post my contact information as the last slide here. If you have any issues in terms of you have a question of constitutional rights or civil rights, please feel free to reach out to me via email, and I will either help you the best I can or refer you to one of these great organizations as well.
Thank you so much. We don't have a question that has been put in the chat, but I would like to open it up to our participants who are joining us today. If you do have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand, and we'll be happy to call on you. I actually do have a question. With so much information, so much misinformation, and so, just the multitude of information that people go to the internet for, when you're dealing with a pro bono attorney, what is something that people should look for when it comes to like scams and fraud? Where somebody will say, oh yeah, give me all your information and we'll do this and that and the other or whatever. You know, what should be something that they should be on the lookout for? Because as soon as people go to the internet and they start looking for something for free, you're gonna have somebody that's gonna be, doing something malicious
Absolutely.
or with ill intent. So what do people need to look for when they're dealing with a pro bono attorney as it relates to that?
First thing I would say is I would use a trusted firm or organization in order to put you in contact with an with a pro bono attorney. So there are many out there. I named some there, but that's number one. Number one is I would look for there all of the organizations that I mentioned, all the organizations that are partner organizations here. They vet their attorneys. They don't let anyone volunteer. They make sure that they actually have a bar license, right? So I would go through an organization. One other thing that I would do is you can always look up someone's bar registration online, right? So if you were to type in my name, Michael L. Harrison Jr., one of the things that would come up is with the Texas bar, it would let you know the date I was licensed, it would let you know the law school I went to, and it would let you know if I was a member of the bar in good standing, right? So those are some of the things that that's the first place I would go. If there was someone who was saying that they could offer free legal advice or free legal help, I would see if they actually are licensed with the bar. And if they are, that's a great start. That doesn't always mean, unfortunately, that you're not going to have some issues, but that's a really great way to start. Like I mentioned before, as lawyers, we're held accountable not only to the community but also to the governing body, which is the Texas Bar. So even if they're as part of that relationship becomes strained, or there may be something that may seem like a scam as part of that relationship, you can always contact the bar if they are a member of the bar.
And then what's one of the biggest misconceptions that you see when it comes to pro bono attorneys? Because I know, of course, a lot of people, one, don't trust lawyers, like that. But and we will get to your question, Miss Diana. I didn't see it till just now. What are some big misconceptions that people have about pro bono attorneys?
A couple of things come to mind. One is that they're not going to be as attentive as someone you're paying for. And now, while that certainly does happen from time to time, organizations and also programs like mine, it's my job to make sure that the attorneys who take on pro bono cases are being attentive to the client's needs and they take them on. So that is one misconception that I would say most of the attorneys that take the time to do this work in the first place do it because they care about it. So there may be a small percentage of attorneys who may not take it as seriously, but I would say for the vast majority of attorneys, we take it very, very seriously. Again, given this, depending on the exact situation, sometimes our client is in more dire need than our fee earning clients. So sometimes we hold those cases a little bit closer than we would some of our other cases. So that would be one misconception. Another misconception may be that you're not going to get as good quality of work from a pro bono attorney that you would from a fee earning attorney. And again, I will reiterate, I'll talk about my firm, for example. When we place pro bono cases, we're placing them with attorneys who handle cases for Fortune 500 companies, right? They've got the ability to do it, and also they've got the desire to do it. So it's likely you're going to get work product that is awesome. So it's those are some misconceptions, but in my practice, I've seen that those things are not true.
Okay. The question in the chat here: to get help with preparing a will, where do you go for pro bono attorney? I'd like to have Rachel to answer that one.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question, Diana. Actually, we partner with several agencies that can provide the assistance of helping you prepare a will, state plan, things of that nature. Michael mentioned Lone Star Legal Aid, Houston Volunteer Lawyer, Earl Carl Institute, Houston Bar Association. We partner with these agencies to provide you that service. What I'll do, Diana, is I will send you a link so that you can conduct a pre-assessment. Once we obtain that information, we'll go ahead and forward your information to one of those agencies to determine your eligibility so that you can obtain a free will or estate plan based on, the requirements of the agency.
And in partnership with those agencies, we also do host monthly will clinics. So for those people that have been referred, then there's like an execution ceremony that they attend where they come in and meet with the attorney, review all of your documents and get everything signed and notarized and things of that nature. So you'll definitely get that information from Rachel. You want to put it in the chat there as well, that you can just click on the link to. As far as any estate planning and things like that, do you guys do any of that kind of stuff as well, since Diana asked the question?
You're asking at Shook?
Hmm?
Or you're asking me at Shook?
Yes, yes, you.
Yes, yes. We do sort of at a limited capacity here in the Houston area, but we get a lot of our cases through organizations like HVL and others. So there are attorneys who have that interest. They're just much fewer than some of the other areas. But that is one of the areas that we touch on. Like I said, not as much as we do some other areas like immigration and civil rights, but we definitely handle those cases as well.
Okay. Now, as far for the pro bono services, when you get somebody to say that, when should somebody pursue getting legal assistance? Because I know some folks will think, oh, that they'll kind of blow something off, or they'll think that nobody's going to do anything about it anyway, or nobody really cares, or I can't afford to pay for an attorney. When should somebody think that they should really pursue some kind of civil action, if they feel like they've been wronged in some kind of way? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say the moment you think that there is some sort of legal violation at stake, reach out to an attorney, right? So it may be the attorney may tell you that, hey, this it's not quite there yet. This is not We're not at the point of legal services, but they may tell you, hey, this is what we need to be doing right now. In terms of whether you think that you may put it off because you can't afford it, or you think no one cares. Uh, I will tell you that we handle a lot of cases for people before they came to us, thought that nobody cared. And we've got within my firm personally, we've got a lot of attorneys who, issues on all sides of the spectrum, right? We all have family. We all are people who know somebody who might have dealt with something similar,
Mhm.
and we will find somebody that cares if it's a case that we're able to take on, right? So I would say not to let that hold you back. And I see oftentimes it's maybe even something that you're embarrassed of. Maybe it's something that you're embarrassed to talk to somebody about. We hear all types of things all day long. I guarantee you, nothing is going to surprise me that you tell me. So I would say to just reach out. If you think that there is some sort of legal right at stake, reach out to one of these organizations. They'll ask you some questions, and at that point, you can figure out whether there's something there or not. But don't let those types of questions be the hindrance to you actually taking that step to reach out.
And definitely, I definitely encourage anybody to actually just to reach out. Don't automatically discount yourself, and oh, I won't qualify for any of that, or I don't, nobody's gonna take my case. You won't know until you ask. You won't know until you reach out, because you'd be very surprised as to what kind of services that are out there that are available. But you got to speak up about it. You got to say something. You got to talk to somebody, because you never know. Your neighbor might be a whole attorney that's been retired but still volunteers, but you never know unless you actually get out there and start talking to people and kind of just open your mouth and you know say something to somebody. So you never know where your resource or your blessing might come from. So definitely. We also encourage everyone, if you yourself may not be in any need of any civil or criminal attorney assistance, then please pay it forward, pass the information along, like Rachel was saying, because people, somebody at your gym, somebody at your office, somebody in your family might be in need of this information, but it does us no good to hold on to it to ourselves. So we do encourage you to share the message, share this video presentation on your social media sites or wherever where people may be able to utilize the information. Because again, we try to collaborate so that we can create a larger impact, reach more people, which is basically the point of the whole collaboration itself, to try to get as much information out there to the community as we possibly can. So, Mr. Harrison, thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking the time out this afternoon to provide this information. And I was just looking on Shook's website, on the Facebook page. So you guys are national.
Yes,
You're
yes.
not just Houston based.
No. We've got one office here in Houston. We've got 17 across the country and one in the United Kingdom.
Okay, because I was looking at that, I'm like, that's not Shook. I don't know that that's the same person. And then I saw your picture that you were brought on a couple of years ago. So I'm like, oh, okay, well there you go. So yeah, that's the right one. So I just wanted to make sure I was tagging the right company when I put the information in there. So again, we want to thank you guys. Information that does get presented by any of the legal service organizations, do keep in mind that they are volunteering their time. These are legal service professionals that do take time out of their schedule to provide this information to the community, because they do care, because they do want to get information out there to the people that do not have access to this information. There are so many people, so many communities, so many community members that have that technical divide, that that are not on Facebook, that are not on YouTube, that don't know how to go to the internet and do this research or what have you, please forward and get this information out to as many people as you possibly can. So let them know that services, that resources are available, that it is out there, that it is possible if you need a will or an estate plan to get done. You definitely have the opportunity to be able to do that. And we can also send you, Miss Diane, we actually did our wills and legal advance planning presentation last week. I can send you the link for that recording. And she talks about all of the documents that actually make up an estate plan and how do you get them executed. And of course, we also have copies of the templates for you to use if you wanted to create your own estate plan that are provided by legal service professionals. So they're not just something off the internet that we've just went and researched and done, but these are vetted documents that we do get from attorneys that we share with people that are interested in creating their own estate plan as well. But we do first encourage you to get your pre-assessment done to see if you can get an attorney to get those done for you for free. There's another question. Okay, all
I
right.
just put the workshop schedule in the chat.
Okay, all right, good deal. Is there any other information that you guys would like to add, or any any lasting words that you'd like to provide, Mr. Harrison?
I would just reiterate what you already said, not being afraid to reach out. So whether that's to me, to an attorney that you know, or to one of these organizations, do it. I think you'd be surprised about how willing people are to help.
Indeed. Rachel, any announcements or anything like that you'd like to make?
Oh, yes. First of all, I'm excited to mention or to say our previously known program, Complete Communities University. We were on hold, but we are resuming for the fall under a new name, Neighborhood Academy, for individuals that are emerging or even current community leaders wanting to enhance their community engagement, civic engagement skills, leadership skills. You can go to our website, the Department of Neighborhood's website, to read about the program for the fall. And if you're interested, please do so apply. Also, we have Coffee and Conversation, where Department of Neighborhoods will provide education to residents about our services. That will happen at Kashmir Multi-Service Center on August 27th from 10 to 12. That information is in the flyer that I posted in the chat. And then also the 28th, August 28th, we will have an in-person workshop over property taxes, property exemptions that you can obtain or learn to obtain for your property, as well as payment options, everything to do with property and property taxes. So that will be held in person at the Sunnyside Multi-Service Center from 1 to 3 p.m. And I think that's it for the month of August, other than our other workshops.
Yeah, like Rachel said, we're trying to do our best. So at least once a month or so, we're gonna try to get back out there in the community. And those two events or meetings that we have that are for the 27th and for the 28th are going to be in-person sessions. So so look for us to come back out in the community. We're doing our best to try to get people back out there to reach those folks, like I said, that have that technical divide, that don't have access, that still, you know, like to do the in-person interaction engagement with somebody. So we're doing our best to get out there. Next week, like I said before, we are also doing our pro se presentation. And the pro se is I guess kind of the opposite of doing this one. It is doing it yourself. And what is it that you need to do? Available resources that are available. Where do you go for different forms and documents and filing papers and things like that? We're going to be going over all of that next week with our partner with the Texas Legal Services Center, who will be presenting that information to you guys. And then part two of our previous presentation about wills and estate planning is about inherited property, clear and title, payment options for deferred property taxes and things like that will be held on Thursday at 1 p.m. and that will be on a virtual platform as well. So please feel free to visit the website at nrcdc.org or on the link that Rachel has provided with the schedule so that you guys can see all of the upcoming workshops that we've got for the month of August. And again, if there are any presentations that we don't currently offer that you guys may be interested in, please feel free to reach out to Rachel or myself and provide us with your feedback, your input, any questions or anything like that that you may have. Any questions that you may think of that you don't have, that later on, if you want us to reach out to Mr. Harrison, please feel free to reach out and let us know that as well, in case you don't have his email address, which is mlharrison@shb.com. So on behalf of the Month of Service and Month of Service Partners and Neighborhood Recovery, I'd like to thank you guys, Mr. Harrison, for again coming out and providing this information, for all of our participants for joining us for this Month of Service presentation for today. And we hope to see you all again later on in the week and later on in the month for other future presentations. So you all have a wonderful remainder of your afternoon. You stay safe and take care of yourselves, and we will see you all next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.